The U.S. Navy plans to deploy a game-changing high-powered microwave weapon system alongside its proven HELIOS laser technology on ships like the USS Preble by the end of 2026. And China has every reason to be terrified. This isn't just another military upgrade, it's technology that could fundamentally neutralize China's most dangerous naval strategy across the entire First Island chain and shift the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific forever. To understand why China should be scared, we need to talk about what's already happening on the USS Preble, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer that's been quietly testing the most advanced laser weapon system ever deployed at sea. In fall 2025, this single ship successfully shot down 4 drones using its HELIOS laser system, a 60-kilowatt directed energy weapon that fires concentrated light at the speed of light itself. But HELIOS isn't alone. 8 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers already carry the Odin laser system, and the USS Portland hosts the even more powerful 150-kilowatt laser weapon system demonstrator, proving this technology works across multiple platforms. Here's what makes this truly revolutionary. Each laser shot costs only pennies in electricity, while traditional ship defense missiles cost between $1 and $28 million per shot, according to Navy budget documents. The RIM-116 rolling airframe missile costs around $1 million each. The advanced SM-3 Block 2A missile that protects our most sophisticated destroyers and cruisers costs $28 million per shot. These laser systems cost essentially the same as running a household appliance. Admiral Daryl Caudle, Chief of Naval Operations, captured the significance perfectly when he said, "Point defense needs to shift to directed energy. It has an infinite magazine." Think about those words. Infinite magazine. No reloading, no running out of ammunition, no logistical nightmare of resupplying ships thousands of miles from home. Just pure, instantaneous defense limited only by the ship's power generation, which new AN/SPY-6 radar-equipped Flight 3 destroyers can provide in abundance. The HELIOS system represents the culmination of decades of development that frankly embarrassed Navy leadership. As one top fleet commander admitted, the service should be embarrassed by the fact it hasn't managed to scale directed energy weapons on board its ships despite experimenting with the technology since the Reagan administration. But that era of slow progress is over, with Odin systems proving the stepping stone technology and HELIOS now demonstrating full-scale capability. HELIOS, which stands for High Energy Laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, does far more than just destroy incoming threats. This Lockheed Martin system can blind enemy sensors, conduct long-range surveillance, assess battle damage, and engage targets up to 6 miles away. It's not just a weapon, it's an integrated combat system that enhances every aspect of naval warfare and feeds directly into the Aegis combat system. The technical specifications are staggering. The system uses modular power and fiber optic configuration that can be expanded to fire between 60 and 120 kilowatts, with the new Trump-class battleships designed to accommodate 300 to 600 kilowatt systems. Unlike kinetic weapons that follow ballistic trajectories, laser weapons fire concentrated energy that travels at light speed with potentially limitless firepower. There's no lead time, no trajectory calculation, no time for enemy evasive maneuvers. But if China wasn't worried enough about HELIOS, the 2026 microwave weapon test should keep Beijing's military planners awake at night. The Navy's Project Meteor is developing a high-powered microwave-directed energy weapon system that specifically targets the electronic systems inside incoming missiles and aircraft. Instead of burning through metal like HELIOS, these microwave weapons cook the electronics that guide China's most sophisticated weapons. This directly threatens China's entire anti-access area denial strategy across the First Island chain. The People's Liberation Army Rocket Force has spent decades developing an increasingly capable array of anti-ship ballistic missiles specifically designed to deny U.S. carrier strike groups the ability to operate within striking distance of Chinese shores. The crown jewel of this strategy is the DF-21D, sometimes dubbed the Carrier Killer, alongside its longer-range sibling, the DF-26B Guam Killer, that extends China's reach to the second island chain. The DF-21D is a maneuverable ballistic missile with a range of up to 1,550 kilometers and an accuracy of 20 meters, while the DF-26B can strike targets up to 4,000 kilometers away, threatening U.S. bases on Guam. Both reach speeds up to Mach 10 during their terminal phases, making them among the fastest medium-range ballistic missiles ever deployed and capable of overwhelming existing U.S. missile defense systems like the sea-based Aegis system. At least, that was the theory. High-powered microwave weapons change everything. As the Navy's own documentation states, HPM systems use microwave energy to inflict damage to electronics inside targets. The Navy believes that this mechanism will be useful in defeating anti-ship ballistic missiles like the ones fielded by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force. The strategic implications are enormous. China's entire naval strategy relies on keeping U.S. forces beyond the first island chain through the threat of overwhelming missile attacks. If American ships can neutralize these missiles using directed energy weapons that cost pennies per shot, the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force's multi-billion-dollar missile arsenal becomes largely irrelevant. The timing couldn't be more critical. U.S. intelligence agencies, including CIA Director William Burns, have identified 2027 as the target date for Chinese military readiness against Taiwan. General Secretary Xi Jinping has instructed the People's Liberation Army to be ready for a Taiwan invasion by 2027, achieving what Chinese military doctrine calls strategic decisive victory over Taiwan and strategic counterbalance against the United States. China expects to be able to fight and win a war over Taiwan by the end of 2027. The U.S. Navy has released a new strategy specifically designed to meet this challenge, focusing on advanced technology and raising fleet readiness. Directed energy weapons are central to this strategy, working alongside traditional systems like the Phalanx CIWS, that these new technologies will eventually supplement or replace. The USS Preble's deployment tells this story perfectly. This laser-armed destroyer departed Naval Base San Diego in September 2024 and arrived in Yokosuka, Japan on October 12, 2024, positioning itself at the front line of any potential conflict with China. It's no coincidence that the Navy's most advanced directed energy weapon is now stationed at Japan's primary naval base, within striking distance of Taiwan and the South China Sea. China has already demonstrated aggressive use of laser weapons. In February 2020, a Chinese warship fired a laser weapon at a U.S. Navy surveillance aircraft. More recently, in February 2024, Chinese forces used laser weapons against Philippine Coast Guard personnel in the South China Sea, temporarily blinding crew aboard the BRP Malapascua. China has shown it's willing to use these weapons offensively, but now faces American systems that could neutralize its strategic advantages, while allies like the UK and Israel develop complementary systems like Dragonfire and Iron Beam. The cost-effectiveness of directed energy weapons fundamentally changes naval warfare economics. The Defense Department has spent $1 billion annually developing these systems, but the operational costs are revolutionary. Traditional naval defense is incredibly expensive. During recent operations in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, U.S. Navy ships faced barrages of drones and missiles from Iran-backed Houthis, and each intercepted threat cost hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in defensive missiles. With directed energy weapons, that same defense costs virtually nothing in ongoing operational expenses. The economic advantage is so overwhelming that Vice Admiral Brendan McClane of Surface Forces Pacific said, "I am committed to advancing laser technology to the fleet. The dream of a laser on every ship can become a real one." That dream is becoming reality faster than anyone expected. The Navy has already installed Aegis software capable of operating laser systems on destroyers D, DG, 81, 89, 122, 124, and 127. All of these ships could receive HELIOS weapon systems if the Navy pursues that option. Meanwhile, 8 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers already carry the Odin systems, proving the technology's readiness for fleet-wide deployment. China is desperately trying to keep pace. Chinese state media claims their LY-1 laser weapon produces 180 to 250 kilowatts of power with an aperture twice the size of HELIOS. However, these claims lack verification through actual testing data. Real-world effectiveness, beam control, and cooling systems at sea remain unproven. China can make claims, but the USS Preble and USS Portland are actually shooting down drones in real operational conditions. The magazine depth problem that has plagued naval warfare for decades is solved by directed energy weapons. Current U.S. forces in the Indo-Pacific face unacceptably high risks due to limited missile inventory and vast geographic distances. As military planners note, available assets in the area are limited with a limited number of missile inventory. HPM payload capability will solve this problem by supplementing and conserving the ship's kinetic defensive weapons. This addresses one of the most fundamental challenges of naval warfare in the Pacific, where the first island chain geography creates enormous logistical challenges. Ships can only carry so many defensive missiles, and resupply in a contested environment is extremely difficult. Directed energy weapons provide unlimited defensive capability as long as the ship has power, which modern naval vessels with AN/SPY-6 radar systems can generate continuously. The technical limitations of laser weapons, weather sensitivity, single-target engagement, and power loss over distance are being rapidly overcome through programs like HELCAP, the High-Energy Laser Counter ASCM project, that informs HELIOS upgrades. The modular design of systems like HELIOS allows for power scaling, while advances in beam control and atmospheric compensation are reducing weather-related limitations. Most importantly, these weapons are proving effective in actual testing conditions, not just laboratory environments. China's response reveals their concern. Recent satellite imagery shows Chinese naval vessels equipped with what appears to be laser-directed energy weapons, as both nations race to deploy these systems. But China faces the same fundamental challenge that slowed US development. The lack of a commercial market for weapons-grade high-power lasers means every component must be developed from scratch for military applications. The 2026 microwave weapon test represents the next evolutionary step. While HELIOS burns through targets with focused light energy, microwave weapons attack the electronic systems that make modern missiles possible. This dual approach means the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force's anti-ship ballistic missiles face both physical destruction and electronic disruption, creating a two-layer defense that makes successful attacks exponentially more difficult. The strategic impact extends beyond individual weapons systems. As Rick Cordaro, vice president at Lockheed Martin Advanced Product Solutions, explained, HELIOS enhances the overall combat system effectiveness of the ship to deter future threats and provide additional protection for sailors. This isn't just about shooting down missiles, it's about fundamentally altering the calculation of naval warfare across the First Island chain. For decades, China has invested in area denial strategies based on overwhelming US defenses with massive missile attacks from the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force. The mathematics were simple: launch more missiles than the target could intercept, and some would get through. Directed energy weapons destroy this calculus because they provide virtually unlimited defensive shots at near zero marginal cost. The timeline is accelerating. The Trump-class warships will act as proving grounds to speed up shipboard and shore-based laser integration across the fleet, with their megawatt-class power generation capabilities. Navy Chief Admiral Daryl Caudle believes these battleships could finally push laser technology across the entire Navy. The era of slow progress is over, replaced by rapid deployment and testing. By 2026, when China's military is supposed to achieve readiness for Taiwan operations, they'll face a US Navy with proven directed energy weapons capable of neutralizing their primary offensive systems. The DF-21D carrier killers, the DF-26B Guam killers, the massed missile attacks, the entire strategy of keeping US forces at bay through overwhelming firepower. All of it becomes questionable when facing weapons that fire at light speed and cost pennies per shot. The USS Preble's successful tests in 2024 and 2025 prove the technology works in real conditions. 4 drones destroyed by laser fire isn't just a technical achievement, it's a demonstration that the future of naval warfare has arrived. China's decades of investment in anti-ship missiles could be neutralized by technology that fits on existing US warships and costs a fraction of traditional defensive systems. This is why China should be scared of the US Navy's 2026 laser test. It's not just about one more weapon system, it's about the potential collapse of China's entire naval strategy just as they approach their target date for Taiwan operations. The infinite magazine has arrived, and it travels at the speed of light.